Why is Victor Wembanyama getting a pass for this choke? If this was young LeBron or KD, he would be crushed. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox messed up, but this was a 29-point lead, and Wemby did nothing to stop it. In the first half, unguardable in the paint, which led to quality open looks that his teammates knocked down from three. In the second half, Wemby was bricking threes like possessions didn't matter. Everything matters when you're down 2-1 in the finals, but this is a pattern for Wemby Spurs. They have led all 4 games of the finals with 2 minutes to play and lost 3 times. So because of that, this man cannot be called the best player in the world. I'm sorry, I was seeing that a ton after San Antonio beat OKC in Game 7. Like, SGA got beat, so the torch was passed. Yeah, right. The number one attribute to be the best is to close big games. Like, for all the MVPs and highlights that LeBron got his first 8 years, he did not get that respect until he broke through in 2012. Now, good news. This is something that Wemby will learn. But the Spurs organization is so good, they saw this coming. So they signed De'Aaron Fox, baby. Veteran max player, buried in Sacramento for years. Unfair, because everyone knows how clutch he is. Well, they signed him for this exact moment, but Fox failed in the worst way possible. Again, you do not lose a 29-point lead all at the very end. But Spurs were up 1 with 23 seconds left. Brunson dries, but Wemby amazing alters his shot. Then the ball leaks out and Fox has it. But stop, look at the time. There's no more shot clock with a 1-point lead. All Fox has to do is dribble it out or get fouled and go to the line with a chance to make it a 3-point game. Instead, he tries to score and gets blocked. What Fox said afterward was, I just thought I'd be able to outrun him, but that's not true. Look at the replay again. Fox knows it's a contested shot before he gathers the ball. Watch the moment he touches the ball. OG is right there. Fox just made one of the biggest mistakes in NBA Finals history. In fact, if he made the bucket, it was a dumb play. That's how bad it was. And somehow he did it again. People are not talking about this mistake by De'Aaron Fox. So Jose Alvarado is taking the ball up the left side with 9 seconds left after the blocks, but Castle traps him and he starts to dribble away from the basket with 6 seconds left. Couldn't be a more perfect scenario for the Spurs to win. But De'Aaron Fox fouls JTA and bails the Knicks out. Yes, they had a foul to give, but look at Coach Mitch Johnson. He can't believe it. He throws his hands up like, what are you doing? And because of that, the Knicks get to calm down and do a side out. But still 5.7 seconds left, Spurs up 1. And on the inbounds, New York is screwed. They get a 30-foot prayer shot from Jalen Brunson. Also frees it, contested by Victor Wembanyama, the Defensive Player of the Year. Definition of no double team. So why does De'Aaron Fox leave OG Anunoby? Then, unguarded, able to fly in and tip in the game winner. My goodness, those were 3 clutch mistakes. But Fox had a bad second half overall. Look at these 2 bonehead turnovers, some of the laziest passes you'll see in the finals. It's almost like Fox was like, we're up so big, who cares? He was 1 for 5 in the fourth quarter. But Wemby also had a mistake that will haunt him for a long time. With under 2 minutes to play, Josh Hart somehow misses a wide open layup. We'd be talking about that if the Spurs had won. Instead, Wemby gets fouled with a chance to put his team up 3. It was a crucial opportunity to take back momentum, but instead he bricks both. So the Spurs had a 10-point lead in 3 of the first 4 games and blew all of them. That has never happened the last 30 years in the NBA Finals. So the actual stats for this choke job. Start in the third quarter. Spurs took 20 shots, 12 of them were threes, hitting just 16% from the field. In the second half total, they went 3 for 17 from deep, 2 for 14 in the paint. But now they will try to pull off a 3-1 comeback with Wemby's hand tied behind his back, because man got his 3rd flagrant foul point in the third quarter. But the playoffs have been so much fun. The NBA Finals are here, and I've enjoyed this month and a half of basketball like 10 times more with Prize Picks. I get my picks in, and it has somehow made the best games of the year even better for me. I love how easy their app is to use. I just pick more or less on a few player stats. That's it, and I get my picks in. So, NBA Finals, my 2 picks. Game 5, baby. First up is Landry Shamet. We're going to go lower on his rebounds and assists. And then De'Aaron Fox, we are going lower on his points. And best of luck if you're telling those picks. Prize Picks available in all these states. And if it's your first time signing up, nothing helps out the channel more than using code AMHOOPS if it's your first time. Plus it helps you because code AMHOOPS, if you play $5, you get $50 in lineups instantly, win or lose. Just moving his arm through, Cat feels the contact, jerks his head back like he was shot. But I get it. Now Wemby is just one more flagrant foul point away from being suspended. He got 2 flagrant foul points for elbowing Naz Reid in the second round. Now 1 from the Cat thing and 1 more results in an automatic game suspension. And if that happens, the Spurs have 0 chance of a comeback because whenever Wemby sits, the Knicks offense completely opens up. They can attack the rim, create space for an even better look at 3. Jalen Brunson has a field day. So an entire game without Wemby would be a death sentence. So you know the Knicks are going to try to bait him into it. So the definition of a flagrant is contact committed against a player interpreted to be unnecessary. So unnecessary contact and contact to the head is automatic. Do you know how subjective that is? You could call unnecessary contact on so many plays. Wemby is going to have to think before he acts, which takes away the Spurs' superpower. But yes, credit to the Knicks. They had to defend like hell and hit their shots, but no credit to their fans. First of all, these scumbags are beating up anybody with a Spurs jersey in their city like animals. Second of all, the whining about the officials is embarrassing, especially with the comeback. The NBA is rigged. Adam Silver wants the Knicks to lose, posting pics of the refs in a Spurs jersey. Yo, if the referees were perfect, which they weren't, the Knicks would have been down 25 in the first half instead of 30. That's not a ref problem, it's the players. But they did come back behind OG Anunoby, who is the unanimous finals MVP if the series ended today. In the second half, man went 7 of 9 from the field, 5 of 5 on threes. He's the only guy the Spurs can't contain. Jalen Brunson inefficient, Mikal Bridges a non-factor, Cat embarrassing. But on defense, OG's block is right there with LeBron's famous block in Game 7 of the 2016 Finals. It's not on that level, but it's like 1B. And the reason is, without that block, the Spurs likely walk out of MSG tied 2-2 going back to San Antonio. Instead, it's 3-1 Knicks. But to follow that up with the game-winning tip-in shot, one of the greatest sequences in Finals history, especially from a role player. Or maybe not. I mean, man always said he was a star back in Toronto. It's why he left the Raptors, wouldn't get enough respect from Masai Ujiri. He's the best Knicks player all around over Jalen Brunson, obviously, and kind of has a little Kawhi in him. Not as good of a shooter as Kawhi is, but still good. Built the same with elite defense. And did you hear his Kawhi impression after the game?
You just hit the game-winning shot in an NBA Finals game in front of your home crowd. How does that feel?
It feels cool. I mean, everyone's pretty excited. I'm excited too.
Tell me that does not sound like something Kawhi would say. Credit to the Knicks for coming back, but this was a Spurs choke job, being up 29 in the second half. Now they try to go back to San Antonio and try to become just the second team ever to come back from down 3-1 in the finals. It's only happened once with the Cavs in 2016, but that was with LeBron James, lots of veteran talent. The young Spurs just proved they're not ready. But one guy who deserves a lot of blame, who we haven't really mentioned, is Mitch Johnson. And he's a young coach, which is a horrible formula to have with a young team, because the young team needs that leader who they can look to settle things down. Wemby hasn't been able to be that guy on the court in these big moments yet. For some reason, he's dribbling it off his foot, or he's hitting the backboard multiple times. He's doing all he can, but whether it's fatigue or inexperience, he's not there yet, which is why they planned to have the bridge of Greg Popovich, and Pop would have called timeouts when he needed to. He would have settled them down. He would have ripped into them like a college coach, and that is the case with college. You have all these young guys who are all super talented to be D1 at that level, but they've never been on this stage before. And so they have a coach who's been there a million times, and he leads them. That's what Coach K was. Dan Hurley now. It's like a dude who's good X's and O's in recruiting, but also he's kind of like a father figure that everyone will listen to. Mitch Johnson is not that right now. And there are a bunch of examples, like the timeouts that he had that he didn't use, not playing Dylan Harper. I mean, that would be tough because Dillon is only 20 years old. And every time, like in the first half, he was amazing, which he has been in a lot of these games. And then late, he's not. Why? Because Mitch Johnson's leaning on De'Aaron Fox, and it has not worked. And Fox has given him example after example where for some reason he doesn't have it. Maybe it's the ankle. Maybe he's just having a bad series. Dylan Harper's having a great series. But in the last 10 minutes of this game, Dylan Harper took 0 shots. That's a coaching thing. Another thing is how stressful this is. I think objectively, that was one of the best NBA Finals games of all time. One of the most fun, right? And I'm sure the ratings are come out and they're huge. I saw something about how the Game 3 number ratings was the highest since Michael Jordan's final Game 3 in 1998, Bulls against Jazz, right? And the high watermark for ratings and interest in the NBA was MJ's Bulls in the late 90s. And apparently that Game 3 of this series equaled or at least came close to that Game 3 with MJ and the Bulls. That is huge, right? And so objectively, amazing series. I am so stressed. I don't know if I'm not a real Spurs fan. What are you guys doing when you're watching these games? Are you rooting for the Spurs? Are you stressed out? Or are you just sitting back and you're relaxed? Because I was like not enjoying the end of that game. I was cursing loudly, like I was afraid that I was going to wake my kids up. And I kept thinking, like, I don't need this stress. What is this? But the good news is that the Spurs are the better team. We've seen it over and over. I think pound for pound, they have more talent. The talent is just very young. They come out every game. They have a big lead. They've had double-digit leads in every single game, and they've blown all of them, except for Game 3 where they won. And they only won by 4 points. So they blow every single lead that they have. But I think the good news is they will never let this happen again. Like if you remember before the season started, we weren't even sure the Spurs would make the playoffs. That was the expectation. They had not made the playoffs before. And I don't remember what the betting odds were, but they were probably a slight underdog to make the playoffs. And they end up winning 3 rounds and going to the finals. First, they beat the Trailblazers, then the Timberwolves, then the OKC Thunder on the road in that Game 7. By the way, I mean, the fatigue on Wemby, I can't, imagine how bad it is because he's playing so much. That's another thing about Mitch Johnson. I heard a lot of people complaining that why did Wemby play, I forget how many minutes it was, I don't have the box score, like 40 minutes, which is crazy. When they had a 30-point lead, you'd figure you'd get him 3 or 4 or 5 minutes of rest. I think one time, you remember Wemby checked out and checked back in like 50 seconds later. But I do get the thinking there. I think what he thought was this is a must-win game, and he will get his rest when it's a blowout at the end of the game. And I was waiting for garbage time because I kind of wanted to go to bed early because these have been late nights. But it never became garbage time. And so Mitch Johnson's plan was to play Wemby a lot no matter what and keep their boot on the throat of the Knicks, keep it there, do not let them have that comeback. But they were having the comeback anyway because Wemby was bricking shot after shot. I think he missed something like 11 of 14 shots in that third quarter into the fourth. And a lot of them were threes. And so you could tell he's fatigued. He's expending so much energy on the defensive end. I think part of the reason why he's settling for these threes is it takes so much energy to drive. You're driving on Cat. You're driving on Mitchell Robinson. These are big guys. And so it's just so much easier. Oh my God, I'm a little tired. I'm just going to shoot this three, especially because a lot of the times it goes in and he can rely on it once in a while. But obviously we're all screaming, just go to the basket, especially when they're in the bonus. That's one thing I didn't know. I didn't understand was that they were in the bonus for quite a while in the fourth quarter. Yet they only took, I believe, 1 shot in the paint during that time, which is insane. But a lot of it, I think, is fatigue and how tough it is on the body to drive inside, especially when Wemby is so outmatched from a weight standpoint and how physical it is. So it's tough for him. So I think that the Spurs are the better team. They'll never let this happen again. So my whole point in saying that the Spurs, we didn't even think that they would make the playoffs, is this experience is such a bonus. Technically, they're playing with house money, but it doesn't feel like it because they beat the defending champs, and now they went into the Knicks as the favorites. So it didn't feel like they were playing with house money. It felt like this is theirs for the taking. But really, this is so much more than any of us thought. The only problem is, now with all this great experience that they got so early, which is great, wow, Will they be able to get back there so quickly? I'm not so sure. For LeBron James, I was thinking about him. LeBron in 2007 made the finals with the Cavaliers, and he got swept in the finals by the Spurs. And I remember that moment after the game, after whichever game it was, game 4, when Tim Duncan goes up to LeBron in the hallway outside of the locker room, and he says, hey man, you're going to own this league, but thanks for giving us this one. And he was right. And it feels this very similar with Wembanyama right now. But the thing is, how long did it take LeBron to get back? 07, 08, 09, 10, 11. It took him 4 seasons to get back to the finals. We all assume, Wemby and the Spurs are going to get right back because they have such young talent. That wasn't the case with LeBron, right? And he's the best player of his generation, just like Wembanyama. And LeBron didn't have to deal with the second apron era, which makes it really hard to build and keep a team. And he still was playing in the super team era, where depth wasn't as important as it is today. And so this is not guaranteed that they're going to get back. There's a reason now we're going to have, I believe it's 8 different champions in 8 years. It is hard to repeat. So we're all acting like, oh, this is great experience. They're never going to let this happen again. They have to get back there first. But speaking of great players, Steph Curry switched shoe companies to Li Ning, which is a Chinese company, which shocked a lot of people. And the reason he said he did it is because he liked how the shoes felt. But in reality, the actual reason that he signed is too crazy for him to actually say out loud.